Hello everybody, another beautiful day here in Dublin, blue skies, and in today's video I thought I'd try a slightly different format of me sitting down. So I'm here out in a very beautiful park near to where I live, and I thought today I would talk about the situation between within the Republican Party in the United States, and how the pro-Trump movement in the US, also known as MAGA, seems to be dominating the Republican Party at the moment. And this is as a result of a series of primaries which took place in the US not so long ago. And in particular, the loss of Thomas Massie as Republican candidate for, I think, Kentucky, where he lost to a pro-Trump candidate, and in so hasn't lost his position within the Congress, but has lost his ability to run as a candidate for the Republican Party in the Congress. This Thomas Massie is not the only one that this has happened to. There was several other Republican candidates that basically lost out to pro-Trumpists, and this has resulted in the party becoming much more loyal to Trump. Massie is an interesting case because he has been a big proponent of Trump in the last few years. In particular, he's been critical of the Epstein files and how Trump has dealt with them, but also was critical of the trade situation and the tariff situation last year, and the current ongoing war with Iran between the United States, Israel and the Iranians. So what does this actually mean? First off, in my opinion, it's a very, very, very bad idea for this to happen. By Trump basically forcing out any moderates within his party, he can't turn around and say that his party does not represent some of the more vile parts of political discourse. Accusations of being of supporting a cover-up over the Trump files, of having racist anti-immigrant policies, of being anti-Islamic, can more easily be forced onto the Republican Party because they've lost their moderates. It has been a very usual technique of various parties, particularly right-wing parties, to have at least one or two people from minority groups represented in their parties, despite the fact their policies might be very much against said minority groups. A good case in point would be the Conservative Party in the UK, who had their recent Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was from the Indian and Islamic community, but the policies of that party were still quite aggressively against minority groups, particularly the ones that he comes from. He originates from. The man himself probably doesn't identify himself with that group. But in Irish politics, we kind of had something similar, and it was much to our detriment. So when we gained independence in 1922, the largest political party in Ireland was a group known as Sinn Féin. It was very pro-Republican, pro-Irish Republic, not Republican in the sense of the United States, was very aggressively pro-Irish, and was despised any connection to do with the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, people became very much aware that the UK was not going to give the Irish a republic at that time for various different geopolitical reasons. And so we gained dominion status within the British Empire, which basically meant we were the same as Canada and Australia, with the British king also being the King of Ireland, just in the same way the British King is the King of Canada and Australia today. This caused a fracture in Sinn Féin, and a new political party arose known as Fine Gael. which were seen predominantly as pro-British, or at least very much connected to the outside world and not so focused internally within Ireland. Sinn Féin split again as a result of the Irish Civil War, which took place almost directly after we gained our independence from Britain, when pro-Republican groups fought a short conflict with the new Irish government. And this created the Fianna Fáil party, this new split, which was largely run as a fiefdom by one particular politician known as Eamon de Valera, a very important Irish political and military hero who was the last surviving commander of the 1916 rebellion, and who was seen as basically almost like the father of the modern Irish state. Eamon de Valera basically had very strong control of Fianna Fáil, all the way up to the point where he became the first Taoiseach, or Prime Minister of Ireland, and then later President of Ireland. And this was very detrimental to our relationship with our nearest neighbour, the United Kingdom, but also with other groups across the world, especially in the aftermath of World War I, where de Valera pursued a policy of neutrality World War II, my mistake, where de Valera pursued a policy of neutrality, and which didn't go down too well with not only the British, but also the French and the Soviet Union. This left Ireland very isolated, very alone, with really only trade connections to the UK, and very vulnerable to interference in our politics from the UK. It wasn't until we joined the European Union in the 1970s, by the way, we were prevented from joining both the United Nations and the EU by the French and the Russians, in the case of the United Nations, because of our neutrality in World War II. But it wasn't until we joined the EU, or at that time was called the European Economic Community, the EEC, that we actually started to gain our own independence in the world, and we actually started to disconnect from the UK and gain allies and friends across Europe and the rest of the planet. So from 1920s there, about mid-1920s to the mid-1970s, for the course of about 50 years, we were held back, very much so, by the ideas, policies and notions of one particular guy, Eamon de Valera. It's not to say Eamon de Valera was a bad politician. It wasn't to say that he was detrimental to Ireland in other ways. He did promote an awful lot of things. His policy of neutrality in World War II is something that we maintain and are proud of today. But nevertheless, it did show us that having one political party in control of one particular politician in power for over an extended period is a really, really bad idea, even in a democratic system like Ireland was and continues to be. De Valera's fall from grace was largely as a result of him getting too old, and a new generation of people who had grown up not remembering the War of Independence or the Civil War, or in particular the 1916 rebellion, and not enamored with the notion of him being the last rebel commander. They came to the fore in Ireland and wanted a new and different system. And this generally is what ends up happening. You will get people who are not going to support you and who will eventually change your whole system and redesign it. In the United States, it being a much more diverse society than Ireland was back in the 20s, 30s and 40s, this is not going to work out for Trump. People are not going to support a party run as a fiefdom by one individual. And we can only hope that the upcoming elections, midterm elections, will change things in the United States one way or the other. the Republican Party is in for a rude awakening if they continue to support Trump in this way, and it would seem that there is some blowback against him regarding this and other policies that Trump has put into place, some of which I've already talked about on this channel. So we'll just have to see. The one worry I have, which I will cover in another video, is whether or not the midterm elections will take place in a fair and free way, fair and free manner. We'll just have to see. It's still early days yet. We're entering the summer period where politics is basically put on hold for some time, and then when we come back into the autumn, it'll be all hands on deck. Anyway, we wait and see what's going to happen in the autumn. Have a nice day, and please let me know if you like this new format of me not walking around the place. Thank you.